I was on my knees on a cold marble floor, the sharp taste of blood filling my mouth when I finally understood how completely my life had collapsed. The private lounge was dimly lit, elegant, and heavy with silence. Men in expensive suits surrounded me, watching without sympathy, their faces inscrutable masks. They were the kind of men who decided fates quietly. Their eyes held the power of judgment and indifference, leaving me feeling utterly small. At the center of them all stood Daniel Mononttoya. His presence filled the room, commanding fear and respect in equal measure. His name alone carried weight in the city, a whispered legend that instilled trepidation in the hearts of many. People spoke of him in hushed tones. It was said that he could crush a man's spirit with a single glance. He didn't shout, he didn't threaten. His calm demeanor was enough to make the room feel smaller, though the tension rippling through the air was palpable. He looked down at me, as if my life had already been measured and found wanting. I forced myself to lift my head, to meet his gaze directly. In this moment of vulnerability, I discovered a stubborn kernel of defiance within me that refused to be extinguished. "I need protection," I said, my voice steady only because I had nothing left to lose. It was as if I had crossed a threshold into a world I had only ever observed from afar, and now I was asking for the mercy of the wolf. Daniel studied me, his silver-gray eyes unreadable. Through the silence, every man in the room could feel the sharp anxiety coursing through my veins. "Protection costs," he said simply, his tone cutting through the clutter of thoughts in my mind. "I know," I replied, a hint of desperation creeping in. "I'll pay anything." The words were desperate, hung in the air, proving my commitment to the fight. A flicker of something crossed his face, perhaps amusement, perhaps curiosity. Then his lips curved slightly, but it was not a smile. It was something colder, more dangerous. "If you win this fight," he asserted calmly, "I'll marry you." For a heartbeat, the laughter that erupted around me pierced the tension. The room froze as the men reacted, first with disbelief and then loud mirth. They shook their heads, some chuckling openly, while a woman near the bar muttered that I wouldn't last a minute. To them, I was entertainment, a figure of amusement. Daniel raised one hand, and the laughter died instantly. The floor beneath us shifted with a low metallic sound. Steel bars rose from below, locking into place as a fighting cage emerged from the bowels of the lounge. The surface was scarred, darkened by the blood and sweat of past competitors. This was not a test meant to be passed, it was a reckoning. "Win," Daniel continued, unbothered by the unfolding chaos, "and you will live under my name. Lose, and you were never worth saving." My stomach turned as dread coiled within me, but I nodded, determination igniting like a spark in dry grass. They brought out my opponent. Her name was Lucia. She was taller than me, broader, a figure honed into muscle and confidence. Her knuckles were wrapped in tape stained dark with history, revealing the scars of past battles. When she looked at me, her disappointment was almost palpable. "This won't take long," she said flatly, as if I were nothing more than a nuisance she had to deal with. The cage door slammed shut behind us, sealing our fates. The bell rang, signaling the beginning of our duel. Lucia attacked without hesitation. Her fist crashed into my ribs, driving the air from my lungs in one devastating blow. Pain exploded through my side as I was thrown violently into the unforgiving steel bars. I slid to the floor, gasping for breath. The crowd roared in approval, their excitement palpable. I tried to stand. Lucia kicked my legs out from under me, and I fell again, the laughter echoing through the room like a storm churning in my ears. "Stay down," someone shouted, their voice cutting through the noise. For a moment, I considered it, the faint whisper of surrender creeping into my mind. Then I saw my brother's face in my mind, his warning eyes, the way he had always told me never to quit. He had died because he refused to turn away from the harsh truth of their lives. I refused to fall for nothing. I pushed myself up, each movement a testament to my resolve. Lucia laughed, relishing her dominance, and struck again. My vision blurred momentarily. Blood filled my mouth, a bitter reminder of the reality I faced. I hit the floor hard again. But I stood again. Something shifted then. Lucia's confidence faltered, just slightly. She hadn't expected me to keep getting back up, to refuse to be broken so easily. I stopped trying to overpower her. Instead, I focused on her movements, analyzing the rhythm of her strikes, attuning myself to every fluctuation in her weight, her breathing. When the opening came, I moved. I remembered the throw my brother had taught me long ago, simple, effective, unforgiving. I used Lucia's momentum against her, rotating sharply and flipping her onto the floor. She slammed into the ground with a force that silenced the room, the impact reverberating in my bones. Lucia did not rise. For a moment, no one spoke, disbelief hanging thick in the air. Daniel stepped into the cage. His gaze swept over Lucia, then landed unflinchingly on me. There was something new in his eyes this time. Respect. "I'll be damned," he said quietly, almost to himself. 3 days later, I stood in an empty courthouse wearing borrowed clothes that hung awkwardly off my frame. There were no guests, no flowers to symbolize a celebration. No vows exchanged, merely a transaction that tied my fate to his. He slid a ring onto my finger, metal cold against my skin, heavy with the implications it carried. "You're under my name now," he said, his voice as cool and detached as ever. As we walked out together, my heart pounded with the weight of what I had done, settling over me like a heavy shroud. Winning the fight had been easy. Surviving the marriage would prove far worse.